Hello, guys and girls, and welcome to episode 33 of the VR Insight podcast. This is a weekly VR, AR, and MR talk show that is live streamed every Saturday on Nathie's YouTube channel. You can tune into the show live at 4 p.m. in Europe, 3 p.m. in the UK, and 9 a.m. in central US. If you missed the show, you can catch up with the whole show where I re-upload it every Sunday to my own YouTube channel, Virtual Reality Oasis. Or check out the audio-only version, which is available on Google Play Music, iTunes, and on SoundCloud. If you enjoy the audio version, please leave us a review on iTunes or on SoundCloud, and that would really, really help us out. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback during the show, please put them in the chat, and we'll try to answer as many questions as we can. We're back on track with our usual live schedule. Sorry about last week's episode. Me and the Zimmeister were in EGX Resd in London, so we couldn't make the live show, so we pre-recorded it. But we're back on track this week, and we are live, so feel free to interact with us in the chat. So if you're new to the show, let me introduce you to the team. First up, this guy's best friend is a little hedgehog called Henry. It is our main man, Nathie himself. How you doing, dude?
Hey, what's up? Yes, I returned to Henry's story once again, and it was beautiful. It was good to go back in there, man.
Had he missed you? Did he?
He did.
Was he happy to see you again?
He made me a cake, like a strawberry cake. Yeah. But in the end, we couldn't eat it. But if you want to know why, then you should watch it yourself. But
nice.
I was about to take a bite, and then something happened. Something horrible. Something. Oh man, I can still feel it.
The cake was made of little Henrys.
Yes. But I do feel like I have you guys, of course, but now I have an extra friend, and it's a hedgehog. And I know it sounds weird, but in VR everything can be true, and if you dream about like having a hedgehog as a friend, then you can, it's all possible.
I'm glad you and friend Henry got to reignite that friendship together. It was a beautiful thing to witness.
It was, yeah.
So this next guy, he likes to go into space and make out with robots. It is our RowdyGuy. How you doing, man? You all right?
Yeah, I'm all right. Well, what do you mean make out with robots? It's not like I do that on a daily basis. I mean, it happened once and it was private, You weren't supposed to blab that out to everyone.
Sorry, I exposed you.
If you want to know what happened, you need to check out my latest.
Is everyone just promoting their own videos?
Yeah.
This is genius. Right.
Yeah.
Next up, he's not itching. He's twitching and eating bugs. It's our resident Twitch streamer, Zimtok5. How are you doing, man? You all right?
You slipped that one in there, Mike, the pinnacle of my week.
Yeah.
Eating mealworms. Thank you to user Darkened Dragon for giving me a bar of chocolate covered in worms, which I ate live. It was difficult.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you taste the worms? Like, were they horrid or was it actually okay?
They were crunchy.
I've always heard that they taste quite good, mealworms.
These were dried. Yeah, they were dried, so I wouldn't say there was much flavor to it. No, thankfully.
So at my work, there was like I don't know if they still do it, but they sell those like burgers made of mealworms.
Oh,
are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No way. Like, there's just no way. Like, I'm really funny about my food. Like, I won't even eat chicken on the bone. I get that funny about it. So there's no way I'm eating a bug.
But it's free. Like, Mike, you just go outside into your garden and you can just catch them and you can put them on a burger. And you don't need to go to the supermarket. So if you're hungry and you don't have anything in your, let's say, fridge, you just go outside, grab some bugs, put them on a burger like in The Lion King, and bam, done.
Or there's an alternative, which was the first thing I ran across, which was this. Which is a worm in a lollipop.
No.
And, you're literally licking the head of this guy when you're... The thing is, this is so rancid, just the block of horrible stuff from America, that I just stopped. I was like, I'm not doing this. And then I got to the other present, which was a bar of chocolate covered in mealworms. And I was like, you know what? Fine. I'll feckin' down it. But it wasn't fun. And thankfully, the VOD gets deleted in like a week. So,
are you kidding me? You should totally keep that VOD up. I want to see that VOD. So don't delete it. Don't delete it.
I don't. It's not my choice. It's a standard on Twitch.
So there you have it. If you want to eat Zim, eat a chocolate bar covered in bugs, go and check out his Twitch channel right now and check out the VOD.
Plugging everyone's.
Wait. Can you guys subscribe to my? Oh wait, you're already on my channel.
You're already here.
Okay. Well, that's sad.
last but by no means least, myself, host of the show, Mike from Virtual Reality Oasis. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about Alien Descent. Are you willing to sacrifice your clean underwear to go face-to-face with an alien? We'll find out. The Vive Pro cameras, HTC finally spills the beans on what these cameras are actually used for. And we're going to be talking about Defector. Are you ready to step into the shoes of a spy and take on a deadly mission in this upcoming game from Twisted Pixel? We will soon find out. So let's find out what everyone's been up to this week first. One game only, because these things go way too in-depth and way too crazy. It takes up like the whole show otherwise. So pick your best one, what you've been up to this week, and let's hear it. So let's kick it over to Rowdy first. Find out what you've been up to, man.
I've actually haven't been able to play that many games today, so that's this week. That's actually maybe a good thing. But the thing I want to highlight is the thing that I actually tried yesterday. That was Once VR. You guys probably know it's an older title, but I've been talking to the developers a little bit, and they wanted me to highlight a couple of the builds that they actually have for their game. Like they have if you combine certain spells together, then you can make like a very strong build that is very aggressive, or you can make one that is very like focused on like health or like a different kind of builds. And the build that I tried yesterday was
what do you mean by build?
Yeah,
sorry, I'm lost.
And it's a magic casting game, so you have a combination of 4 different kind of spells that you can use. You have 4 different kind of spells, but you can also combine certain spells with each other to make them complement each other, basically. Mm-hmm. So a build that I had, that they made for me, was a very aggressive build in which I would use my own health, for example, to try and damage your opponent. But you had to, of course, do it in such a way that you don't lose too much health. So it's actually, I was surprised because I've been playing this game already a couple of times, and every time I get out to someone who's like I think last time that I played against like someone who was like the seasonal champion of the entire game. So I was like, what am I doing in here with my stupid wand? Like I literally had no shot at all. And now that also kind of happened, not to someone who's a seasonal champion, but someone who was maybe a little bit less good. And then after that, like after I played like roughly for like half an hour against like people who were crazy good, I met someone who was more on like my level, like, you know, way lower, and that was a lot more fun to be doing it, because I can actually have a chance. I actually try out the build as well, and there's a lot of stuff in that game that is actually really well thought out and really balanced as well, because I kind of like it that you can make these kind of different kind of builds that like play out their own strengths and weaknesses. I think that's neat. That's kind of I wanted to highlight that for a moment.
Cool. So you actually, when you took out this guy, you actually won one game. So is that what you're saying? Like you got wrecked and then you just won?
So I first played against someone and I lost like 5-0. And I think the most kind of damage that I did was like maybe 50 out of 100. And every time I got like destroyed, like, and I didn't even know what kind of, because it was a girl, I think. I didn't even know what kind of spells that she was using. And then the second time, it was also a full game that also was 5 matches. And then I won with 5-0 because I kind of knew what I was doing by then.
Right. But Ones is like a multiplayer only game, right? It's not it's not got a single player campaign or anything.
They don't have a single player campaign, but I think that people have been requesting, because there's not always so many people online that are playing it. They want to have something to do still. So you can actually practice your skills of aiming and that kind of stuff in like more like a wave shooter kind of thing that like it's like in between sessions. So when you're waiting for someone to connect, you can still actually do something at least. You don't have to wait for someone to come online, which is a good addition. I would like to see like something more that you can actually test out your spells, because they have like a cellar and where you can like play against like, you know, static objects, like those like wooden dolls or whatever they are. But I would like to have like some kind of AI still implemented so you can at least practice a little bit. That would be neat.
And how does the game compare to like, say, like the Unspoken, for example? Because that's like another spell casting game, right?
Yeah.
Like
I have not played the Unspoken. I've seen videos of it, and I have the impression that this is still more on a competitive basis, even more than the Unspoken.
Oh, right. Wow.
And there's a pretty nice community behind it as well.
I love it that games like this, still have a community behind it that is thriving still and still playing the game and still enjoying it. If casting spells and making spells is your bag, then I'm really happy that people are sort of digging it.
It's a really good question, isn't it, Mike? What is the best spell casting game that you've played? I would almost say Waltz of the Wizard was probably my favorite, which is a free demo.
Yeah, I never tried Waltz of the Wizard, but I did play the Unspoken when it was just multiplayer only. Like, they've got a single player out now, which I haven't tried, but it's supposed to be pretty decent. But I know, like, Caleb, like Reality Check VR, like, he used to enter into like the Unspoken tournaments and stuff like that, and get really into it.
Isn't Mage still maybe one of the best like spell casting titles? Or
I've only done an hour or two in it, but it looks really solid. So I need to. It's a long game though, so I need to like spend a weekend doing that. I'm actually that's on my to-do list.
I also liked actually the thing where I forgot the name, where you need to use your hands to like cast the spells. Is that the Wizards?
That's the runes. Something.
But the Wizard does it as well. The Wizard does it as well. Because you can like pull out like a shield. Yeah. The way that they do the spell casting there is pretty neat.
And Skyrim.
And the Soul Keeper as well.
Oh wow, they're all coming out the woodwork.
Yeah, I know. There's so many. There's so many.
So if you want to be a wizard in VR, you've got plenty of choice.
That's true.
So let's find out what Zim's been up to this week. What you been up to, dude?
I think the one I'll highlight, because I always like plug. I could plug the easy one, which I'll say it some other time, because we played Windlands 2, Mike and I think that team's done a really good job. Won my Rezzed Best of Show. It's fucking awesome, and I got to play like 3 bosses deep, non-public stuff, which was awesome. But the thing that I'll plug, if you know the Nebuchadnezzar from The Matrix,
of course,
there is you're gonna be surprised I'm saying this now. There's a 360-degree video, short film called Sonar,
with Nicolas
Sonar,
Cage, like
what bats have, and it's only about 4 minutes long. But totally worth doing. They really do it right. I mean, it's from 2014, and it was a film festival winner. It's fucking brilliant. Like, if you ever played Surge, which was this really beat-heavy, short musical thing that also was like in the same era, it was like a DK2 demo. I'd never seen Sonar at the time. I think it was just relegated to this film festival and didn't come to the platform at the time. Otherwise, I would have played it. But that's on Oculus Home, and I don't know if it's on Steam. But Sonar was really cool. And they go to dark places, and I really appreciated that.
So where can we check this out if I want to try it out ourselves?
Yeah, it's so Oculus Home. Sonar.
Oh, Oculus Home.
Is it free, by the way, or do you need to pay? Yeah, okay. Fair enough. I mean, it's 4 minutes, so
yeah, exactly. No, I'm sorry, I didn't say that. It is a free thing to go through,
So what made you try this one out? Was it something that's been re-released recently, or was it just something you heard of?
Caught my eye. Just caught my eye. Right. Like sometimes I'll look through the Oculus Home Store and I'll just look at like shorter nitty bits and just look for stuff that are kind of like, I would just like trying random bits, because you never know when you're going to run across something that no one else has heard of, and you're like, wow, that was really good. Yeah. All you people who've been writing this down have no idea, But this is actually really, really well rated on the store. I think it's like 4.5 stars.
Cool.
Definitely worth.
And it's like 4 minutes long, do you say? So it's quite a short experience, but very.
It's very fun. Nebuchadnezzar. Again, if you know the ship from The Matrix, how it's like the sunken into the ship, kind of floating around thing, and it's actually quite fast paced, because these types of films, the artsy fartsy ones, tend to be quite slow and like revealing. This one doesn't like hold you by the hand. It's.
They're saying in the chat that it's 99 cents.
Okay, maybe I overlooked the dollar.
Okay, but it's worth checking out. It's worth checking out. I love it when I hear about stuff that I've never heard of, and people are excited about it. Like, I've just made a note of it, so I will definitely check it out later on today. But this is why this podcast is so great. Like, all these different people come up with these different experiences, and we can sort of share them with everyone. I feel like we're doing some good work here. Thank you, Zim, for your input. I really appreciate it.
For the week.
So, Nathie, what have you been up to this week, man?
Well, I'm not sure what game you were going to pick, Mike. If it was Paper Valley, then I'm happy to skip that one and go to
you can talk about Paper Valley. I was going to talk about something else.
Okay, cool beans. So I played Paper Valley. And what kind of game is Paper Valley? Well, that's a good one. I think, first of all, Paper Valley is better known as Paper Garden for some reason. I found it out on the internet. It was like a different title, and they changed it up. I don't know why and what happened to it, but So in Paper Valley, you throw it little paper planes at certain targets. It's like a little relaxation, meditation, calm experience, and you just need to find your way out of certain worlds. And when you are throwing those paper planes at targets, the world around you will grow. So you start in a boring looking grotto, and then later on it starts to come to life because you hit those targets, and those targets are basically the seeds that get spread through the world itself, and then you see things grow around you, and everything becomes very colorful. So you're filling in the world through playing the game. And it's about it's about 2 hours in total, as far as I know, or 2.5. It depends on how good you are. It's more a game that is like an escape. So if you feel like you had a rough day or a busy day, then that's the game for you. If you are one of those achievement hunters or a person who looks for a challenge, then this is not really. It's not very. Let's say it's not super hard to play. It's just it doesn't want you to rage quit this title, But it's nice, and the art style is cool, and the environments are very relaxing. It's just one of those. I don't know. Just drift away in metaphors, basically, like that.
Yeah, exactly. Like I played it as well, and I would mirror what you were saying. It's very relaxing. It's almost like a really chilled experience. Yeah, you can't die. There's no boss fights. You never run out of planes.
No, you're never.
If you're constantly missing, then it doesn't matter. You can just keep going.
Yeah.
And almost for me, that's what kind of let the game down for in my eyes. Is that it didn't have that challenge aspect to it. So it didn't really have enough to keep me drawn into the game because it doesn't have a story.
Yeah, that's it.
It is all just about this really mellow music, being in this space, making it vibrant again, and then moving on. So it is very peaceful. And like you say, if you're not into like going into Onward and like getting into an intense firefight or fighting a dragon or shooting some zombies, then this is probably the game for you. So if you're into those more relaxed sort of games, and definitely there is an audience for them, because like I compared it to like Flower on the PlayStation, like that kind of game where you kind of drift through the environment and just make these flowers grow, and you're making the environment grow. It really reminded me of that. So I think it has its own merits, but personally I just felt I just needed a bit more.
I think still like it's $16 right now. I think that if it's about like maybe $10, I would buy it. I still think that $16 or like $15 is a bit too much for because in the end those 2.5 hours of gameplay are basically the same thing you're doing all over again. It's not like it's refreshing itself along the way. Of course, the worlds where you are in are changing, but let's say the gameplay itself is not really spicing itself up in a way, because you can use different paper planes, and every paper plane has its own like strength that you can use. But it's not like you are getting more and more the more you play. It's not really achieving you in any way. It's not like you're unlocking anything. It's just you proceed, done. It's not in a hurry, basically. It's not trying to... It just tries you to like forget about real life for a second. That's what it...
On the subject of paper planes, actually, I know you're saying it's so casual and laid back, but what I learned this week about paper planes is that if you make paper planes and you throw them... There's a puppy around. My God, that puppy's going to wreck your house.
That's a different story.
It's not in any way what you described, Nathie. So I don't know about these developers. I might have to write a friendly worded.
Trust me. Throwing a real paper plane is a lot harder than doing it in this game, because if you throw a paper plane, you can control it with your controller. You can twist it and let it go up and down. So
after the event, like a heat-seeking missile in Half-Life.
So you throw it at a certain pace, and if the pace is good, then you can also control it in a
like a heat-seeking missile in Half-Life. Exactly. That is how the paper planes work.
Best example ever. Hey, did you guys hear they're like Valve? No. Wait, I'm not going there. Sorry.
No.
VR games. 3, right?
But it's funny. Like after like I played it like non-stop, 2.5 hours straight. Just finished the game in one sitting. And afterwards, at the end, I was like, "Oh man, my arm!" Like, because I was proper like fuzzing these planes, and it's like I don't know if you remember playing like Wii Tennis back in the day. Like you'd be playing for like a few hours, and you'd be like, Oh, my arm really hurts.
True.
I got RSI from throwing paper planes.
So it is an Oculus home exclusive. I tried it with Revive, doesn't work. So
oh, right. It's good to know.
I didn't have any hands. I was like somewhere stuck in the ground, like trying to look up, searching for some paper planes, but that didn't work. But there is like an Easter egg in there. If you look at the clouds, you see like a Vive shaped logo. And I don't know if that's just random stuff, but I was like, wow. Hey, look, guys, I think it's coming to the Vive. I don't know. It's an indie title. I don't see why this would be an exclusive. And this is also a game that you can play on the PlayStation VR soon. I'm sure that could work fine. So I hope it will happen.
I think, because you mentioned it was originally called Paper Garden, I think they probably had this small-scale game planned, and then Oculus probably funded them quite a lot to expand it and make it bigger.
I think so, because I did see Vive gameplay when it was called Paper Garden, so maybe after they got the funds, they also decided to change the title, but... Still, I mean, let's just share this amazing experience on Steam and all those other platforms out there. I mean, it's really nice. So
I'm sure it will come eventually. I'm sure it will. But this week I got to check out Box VR, and I know Zim has been raving about it in the past. He got to check it out. And I was like, yeah, okay, I finally got my mixed reality set up, sort of nailed. Like I really wanted to test a game with it, so I fired up Box VR, and I actually had a lot of fun with it. Like I got my gym kit on. I thought, yeah, I'm going to really sweat it out. And I did end up sort of, getting a bit hot and sweaty, having a workout. My heart rate went up. I lost some calories according to my Apple Watch. And then I was like, okay, the sort of music in the game is okay, it's fine. It sort of gets you going. But importing your own tracks, like, wow, that works so well.
Yeah,
like,
their beat detection's sick, isn't it? It's really
so cool. So there's some tracks that I downloaded from Epidemic, so my video wouldn't get claimed, and chuck those in. And you basically import a track, so sort of an MP3 file, and then the game just creates the beats in time with it. And then sort of takes about a minute maybe to compose a track, and then says you can play this now. Choose your difficulty, easy, medium, or hard. And then just click on the one you want to choose, press play, and then those beats are perfectly in sync with the music. And I was just like, how did they do this? Like magic, do you know what I mean? It's so incredible.
When the game first launched, actually, Mike, and there's a lot of older like Steam page things that complained about the beat detection, and then they refined it. And thankfully, just before I played it the first time, I think it was January or something like that, they released a patch. And since then, it's been really solid. Yeah.
Really, really nice. Really nice. And they've just announced multiplayer. So it's not like multiplayer in the same space, unfortunately, because that would have been pretty cool. But you can just have someone's score up next to it and compete against that.
On your import times, when you're importing songs, I found against things like Audio Surf, a 2D game that also has beat detection, I think Audio Surf was maybe twice as fast. Did you find it took maybe a minute and a half or something like that to import a song? Or
yeah, about that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, about that. But it was, it's worth the wait, I think, in my mind, if it's going to be spot on.
Yeah.
But yeah, like a lot of people really like the video as well. And the idea of working out in VR, people are sort of really on board with that idea.
Yeah.
Like I know some people are worried about like sweat, like destroying your Vive and stuff like that. I get it. But like, I think if you've got set up, and you're using like a VR cover or something similar that's going to push all the sweat away. And as long as you're not putting the headset like face down when you're finished, so all the sweat like pulls into it, then you're going to be fine.
But okay, so I'm going to be fine. But what if I use a Vive and it just breaks?
Then you're screwed.
Yeah, that's right. Then you're screwed. So beware, everyone. It's not in their how do you call it?
Terms and conditions.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that, because like I've heard of Vives breaking because of sweat, right? Barnacle ruined Tribal Instinct's Vive. Sebastian from Mixed Reality TV, his Vive is recently broken, and he put a video out saying, they've been really funny about replacing it. Yeah. But I haven't really heard of these horror stories with the Rift so much.
Hang on. So Gabe did not create everyone equal, So I think it's important to say that there are some people, like I've got a Russian friend who's a big fecker, and he sweats like a waterfall, right? And it's not just that if you're bigger or smaller. Some people just have pores that were designed to just squirt. This is going the wrong way. But you know what I mean? Like it is, if you know yourself, if you are like a heavy sweater, then maybe just stop every so often and do a wipe down. That's all you really need to do. Just don't let it turn into fucking liquid waterfall.
So the advice from the podcast: if you're squirting everywhere, stop every now and again, have a wipe down, and start again.
So someone is asking if the VR covers are like really helping you to like
So
filter
good.
the sweat. I think they do, but
Yeah.
like also someone is saying like, is the vogging also disappearing? No, that's not the case, because like in the end, like inside the headset, it always gets hot, even if you use VR covers or not, because the heat comes off your face.
I never have that.
I rarely in the Rift. I rarely have the problem, but
In the
Vive,
Vive, I'm wiping a lot, and in the Rift, it's just one. It's I don't know. It depends on the headset, I guess, as well.
Also depends on the cover.
The Vive or the Rift. Never.
Yeah. The thing that I've noticed is, so if you have a cover that looks like that kind of like fake leatherette surface, that stuff just lets the water just build up. If you use the more denim-y like cotton covers from your cover,
it's just gonna soak it up.
It'll just suck it in, and you can just bin that one, throw another one on. I mean, that's the way I do it, and I really don't have a problem. And I swear,
I got a new design, by the way. It's very, very nice. Look at
new
this.
design of VR cover.
Yeah, well, it's new. I mean, I changed it up a bit
Oh, nice.
with red and
colorful.
Blue and red.
Yeah.
Are these
Rowdy, you
they're the-
use the leatherette one then.
Yeah,
You
this
use
is
the fat
sports
leatherette.
edition. That's how they call it.
Oh.
It's the sports edition. It's like
The
a
camera?
leathery. That's why I find it a little bit surprising that you said that, because I think these are more designed for the sweat kind of stuff, because it's like a little bit like a leathery kind of
porous.
stuff. It doesn't suck it up.
Yeah.
Like it actually like. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know.
That's the one I use, but I use the thinner version. Yeah, exactly. Because I think the problem with the original Oculus foam is that because it just soaks all that stuff up, it just sits in it, and that's the
The
problem.
Vive foam is way worse, though. Oh my god,
really?
It
Right.
is awful. No, come on, Nathie, tell me. Like, what do you think of the original Vive foam?
It's very cheap, and it starts to smell funny, and it like the color. Like, let's say if you let two friends try it and they sweat a lot, it's so gross.
You can't go near it for a day.
It's so gross.
You can't
Like,
go near it for a day.
it's so
horrible.
it's so gross. Like, you never want to wear it again.
Mike, I'll tell
That's
you what
the
it
thing.
is. It's like a synthetic sponge. So what happens is it just sucks in the sweat, but there's no way to clean it. Like, you literally have to kind of take it out and like run under the sink and
Oh my.
maybe 3 or 4 rinses. It's just not good.
Well,
The Rift is
sadly,
much
No.
If you
sadly,
share
the
your
Vive Pro is
headset-
still using the same one. So I mean,
If you share your headset, you should really get those like little like plastic paper things or something that you can like place over that. So
Oh yeah, I wore one at EGX. I look like an idiot.
You look like
More
such
so
an
than
idiot.
normally.
yeah,
exactly.
I would do that too. Yeah.
But yeah, VR cover, it will definitely hook you up. I think it's like one of the best accessories for a headset.
something like
Definitely.
this.
Without a doubt.
Just on the Rowdy one though. So
oh yeah, that one.
the original ones that weren't so great. But like the thing I was gonna say is the way that was marketed, the anti-sweat one, is like if you're someone demoing at booths and stuff, this is what you need because it wipes down easy. That's the thing. But I still stand by, and I'll show you in a minute. I have about 25 different VR covers because they sent me feck loads of them because I'm an active guy, and but I really do think that any of the ones that are more like cloth-like are the ones that you want because they'll take in, they're easier to wash, they're easier to clean, they're better for home use, I would say. But what you want to be careful of, like, don't go on eBay and get one of the early versions because like the early Rift version was terrible. It would just fall off the unit. But the current builds, if you buy it now, buy it new, they're fine.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned the cloth one because I hate using the cloth one. I just use the pleather one that Rowdy just showed.
It's like the cloth one is kind of like blocking your view a bit or something.
Yeah,
like that. It's
I don't like the feel of it either.
No. I think maybe we're talking about different ones, but I mean, I'll show you the one I'm talking about here. If I
That's
this one, yeah.
Yeah, it's very soft.
This is the revised one, so it pretty much stays on if you know how to put it on. But again, the thing you have to do when you're putting this on is back of the head first.
Yeah,
and if you're a glasses user or if you have long hair, that's because my wife said, she's like, I can't do that because then I pull all my hair into my face and I can't do that. So you can put your face against it and then slide that over the back. But
also, before we stop promoting them for free, you also get this with every product. It's for your lenses. You can clean those. So yeah, that's nice, right? That's very very handy.
Oh, this is great. I love this topic. Hang on, we got to do this. Which wipe do you use? I use the one that came with my PSVR.
Oh,
so I use this.
Whatever
lens wipes. These lens wipes from Zeiss.
Oh,
you actually have stuff
fancy,
wow,
Mike.
Mike. So posh.
Well, I mean, Mike has a baby, it's a Rift, so I mean, you need to use the best products ever.
I have 3 babies now.
Yeah,
3 babies.
That's what I'm talking about.
Looking to expand the family.
I have been using the Oculus EK1 cloth for a very long time, but after all, it just starts to that's the one. That's the one you want.
Well, they got 2 out of 4 of us, I guess. And Paradise Decay just said, "I use a beer mat."
It's so ghetto, PD. I like it.
I just go on my headset. I go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I just get sandpaper.
Quick warning: don't use toilet paper or other things. Then not smart.
Hey Mike, April Fool's next year, a sandpaper into your Rift
video. Mike is wiping his lenses with his like his head because it's also
so smooth.
Voxtime is asking if alcohol wipes are bad for these kind of lenses.
I really don't know, to be honest, because these ice ones.
Can you test it, Mike? You're a reviewer after all, so.
Yeah. I don't think these are alcohol based, but these are like lens wipes for your glasses. And your mobile phone and stuff like that.
Those
so they
would
be safe.
Though, Mike. Yeah, those are equivalent of. Did you ever remember like from like the 90s? They had these like big, like almost like baby canisters of wipes you'd have for your PC monitor.
Yeah.
Back when it was a CRT screen and it would like just attract dust like crazy.
Listen, if you
I do remember.
If you use alcohol, then you can also risk that you remove some color from the strap itself or whatever that you're using. So I really don't recommend using anything with alcohol.
Wow, the memories.
Good tip, Rowdy. Good tip. So first up, we're going to start off with some small news. We've got the VR Spring Sale has started on Steam, so it's running all this weekend. It's gonna stop on Monday. So if you want to pick up some sweet deals for your Vive or for your Rift or for your Windows Mixed Reality headset, jump over to Steam this weekend and make sure you pick up some of those titles. Some have got some really great discounts as well. Like here are some of the best ones.
Ooh.
Go on, Zim.
I was just going to comment. We covered it on my channel head to toe, and usually I go through and I'm like, "Feckin' horrible game, terrible game." You know how I am.
Yeah.
This time, 80-85% of what they have featured on there, bloody awesome. Like they have their main page with all the main deals. I think it's static, so hopefully my comment still sticks. There's a huge array of great deals on great games.
Yeah, so I picked out like 10 that I thought were the most standout, like sort of best deals.
Yeah.
We've got Rick and Morty, which is 50% off. Arizona Sunshine, 45% off. The Gallery, episodes 1 and 2 together in a bundle is 50% off right now. If you haven't checked out The Gallery, it's a really, really cool game.
Beautiful.
Did you like the second one?
I haven't played it.
See, I
haven't played it.
It's so weird. Like, and that bundle's not inexpensive. Like, what's that bundle cost again? 18 or something?
So it's going to be around £18, I think, for both.
Yeah. And see, I gave a warning on that one. I was like, the first one's good. The second one is weird.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
You need to like those kind of games as well. Like it's like very puzzle.
It's for everyone. It's a different experience, I would say, for the Gallery.
It's visually very beautiful, I think.
Oh yeah.
So you can throw corpses around in it. So anyway.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay.
Corpse Driving Simulator 2018. So we've also got Tilt Brush 50% off, Space Pirate Trainer 40% off, Onward 40% off. You know, that's a great title if you're into your military shooters. Gorn, you're going to have a ton of fun with that. That's 25% off. Super Hot, one of my all-time favorites, 25% off. Box VR that I just spoke about, 35% off, and Killing Floor Incursion as well, because that's arrived on Steam now as well, is 50% off. Yeah. But also, I just wanted to throw this out there as well, because I don't want to sort of leave our PSVR brothers and sisters out on some juicy discounts, because PlayStation just announced that they're dropping these titles permanently now on the PS Store. So if you're interested, you can check out these titles as well. Drive Club VR has got 25% off.
Oh, God. No, don't touch that.
Gran Turismo Sport,
that one either.
33% off. The Inpatient, 50% off. PlayStation VR Worlds, 25% off. Rigs, 33% off. Starblood Arena, 25% off. Until Dawn, Rush of Blood, 25% off. And I say the best for last, Wipeout Omega Collection, 50% off.
You have to, if you own a PSVR, I don't care if you don't like racers, you have to buy Wipeout. It's got so much content. I just replayed it again yesterday. I had to upgrade. I never do this. I never re-rate, but I had to upgrade it to a buy because the amount of content, the depth, the color, you actually get 3 games in one. It's silly.
Yeah,
it's good.
And just interestingly, how do you play Zim? Because I was speaking to Luke from the Winlands team when was at EGX.
Yeah.
He likes to do it from the pilot head, which I just can't stomach that, at all.
What, you drive from ship? From third person?
You're just a wuss.
No. I am floating in the cockpit like this.
Oh no!
From head. So like the ship is doing that. And I'm racing around. No, I'm not kidding. Like it's total. It is total hardcore.
Wait. Show the chat again how you do it, Sim. How do you float?
Someone remix that, please. Thank you.
Yeah, we need a VR Inside remix of the dance moves.
What I would warn people for is Drive Club, and that's about it. I think that Drive Club was pretty bad, even for someone that isn't really into racing stuff. But my days, that was one of my first PlayStation VR titles I played.
The problem is, it looks the part, and it's got a bunch of cars, and the tracks are kind of pretty. But the feel of the game, it's worse than arcade. It's like floaty. It's like yacht around a track simulator. It's just not a good game. It's so flat.
Well, there you go. You know, like Zim's our resident racing expert, and if he says it's crap, then it's crap.
Yeah. The only thing I wanted to qualify there, because I think I've triggered off with the wrong game. People are saying Starblood Arena. I have not played Starblood Arena, so I will scratch my comment on that.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't actually know what Starblood Arena is.
It looks awesome, by the way. Like Starblood Arena, all the characters they have, it looks very cool. It looks a little bit
got
like
confused with something else.
Yeah, it reminds me a bit of that Nintendo game. How is it called? Star Fox.
Yeah.
Not because of the name, but because of the characters. So
okay. So there we have it. If you want to pick up some sweet deals this weekend, you can pick them up on Steam or permanently on the PSVR now. You've got some titles there to treat yourself to this weekend as well.
Mike.
So let's talk about some more treats, and that is some treats coming from the developer of Pavlov, because he's integrated official Oculus support now. So you could play Pavlov on the Oculus Rift before using the Steam version. That was absolutely fine, but now you're going to have even better performance, even better stability, and even better tracking. So if Pavlov or Onward are your jam, and you want to play on Rift, then now you're going to be very happy indeed.
And also,
you still obviously have to play the game on Steam, like it's not available on the Oculus Store, but it's got some new mechanics in there as well, some new grab mechanics, some new inventory, quick slots. You can grab your weapons now, holstering them on your shoulders if you want, or your hips. And it's got a new sprinting system involved. So
it's actually $6 or something now. It's actually on a big discount as well.
It's on the sale.
If it's been a while since you've played it, you should really check it out again, because it has improved like a lot since it came out originally.
People might not know, but it's basically like GoldenEye or Counter-Strike in VR. Like it's really quite fun. I think you just need to have some people to play with, and then you're good.
That's true. And the biggest plus is that like there are workshop maps everywhere. You can go into a CS:GO map, you can go into Call of Duty maps. It's all there.
Yeah, the original GoldenEye maps are bloody fun in that, actually. Like you can go into facility and stuff like that. It's very good.
The problem for me is like I absolutely suck at those games. I'm like so bad.
Where's my grenade?
You've got to really invest time into like a game like Pavlov or Onward to be good at it, because like the player base have been playing since the beginning, and they are just so good now. Yeah. It's unreal.
True.
But there you go. If you're interested, you're going to have a way better experience on the Rift. And like these guys said, go and check it out again now, because a lot has changed since you probably played it a long time ago. So on to our next little short bit of news. I'm sorry to admit to you guys, but I turned yesterday, and not to the dark side, but to the flat side.
Out of the closet or something,
Easy there. Don't get too excited,
you see, Mike, I told you. This is exactly what I said to him. When he came on today, he's like, he's going to say this news, and I was like, no, you.
Yeah. So I played God of War yesterday. I wasn't a complete traitor. I did actually play it in VR, in big screen, and I live streamed it for around 2 hours. But yeah, it was a really cool game. Like it's one of the most anticipated games, like pancake games, to come out this year so far. So I thought I had to check it out, as I've just picked up a PlayStation as well. And yeah, like having played it in big screen was just so great. Like the game itself is so nice.
We got the Lonely Viper in the chat saying that Mike kind of looks like Kratos.
Well, I did. I posted a picture yesterday where I photoshopped his tattoo on my face. Almost like identical to him. I've got the beard, got the head. So if we ever go to an event and we're going to cosplay, we know that obviously Nathie is going to go as Booker DeWitt from BioShock. I'm going to be Kratos. That's it. Done.
Oh yeah, we had Borat too, by the way. As far as I know, yeah, that was Rowdy, and Zim was Zim. Zim was Zim, right? That was.
Oh yeah, he was cosplaying as himself. Yeah, that's right. I remember now. But yeah, the game itself, like the graphics and the scenery and the environments were absolutely stunning. The story just like hits you straight from the beginning and doesn't let up. It's got this really cool like father and son bond story, and like Kratos is such a douche to his son. It's just really, really funny. Like he's just like his son like misses a deer like with his bow, and he's like, oh, he's so disappointed in him. He's just like really, really blunt with him. It's really, really funny. But yeah, the combat was really satisfying and fun as well. And playing in big screen, obviously, you get like all the lighting effects from the screen. So in the virtual theater that you're sitting in gets lit up with the sort of scenery on the screen as well. And when you go into dark environments, it gets all dark and murky. And one of the things I would say, the best thing about playing a game like this in VR is that you're completely immersed in it, right? You're not distracted by your mobile phone. You're not distracted by people talking around you or other applications that you've got up and running. Yeah. You're just in the game and you're just engrossed in the story. And I think that's one of the best use cases for playing a pancake game in VR is that you're not distracted by anything else.
I did it as well a week ago with Far Cry 5, and it's a crazy good experience, yeah. I'm going to play God of War like that as well, definitely.
Yeah, and we've got to finish our little adventure with A Way Out together as well. I really want to play more of that game as well.
I had a weird one like that a couple of weeks ago. There was a lot of kick up about Chrono Trigger, and I played that in Virtual Desktop. And it's funny because like in Virtual Desktop, the game looked grand. Like they'd done some like upscaling on the graphics, and all the PC players were like, "God, this looks terrible." But to me, I was like, I had a really enjoyable time. I didn't even notice, and I'm usually picky about that kind of thing. But they've actually patched that. So if you did manage to buy Chrono Trigger on re-release on Steam, another 2D game. We shouldn't be talking about this stuff, but they patched it, so there's good.
Don't turn to the flat side. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
It's a dark, slippery slope, and you'll end up in a dark place. So don't do it. I'm back now, though. I'm back into VR. Wow. So next up, Psychonauts is coming to Rift and Vive this week. Double Fine's title, Psychonauts in the Rhombus of Ruin, released on PSVR about a year ago now, but it's finally arrived on Rift and Vive. So if you're interested... Yeah, exactly. They probably bought the exclusive rights to it for a year. Hopefully the same will happen with Resident Evil 7 soon. Like, geez, like we talk about it almost every show. Like that needs to come to the Rift and the Vive. But in Psychonauts, you assume the role of Raz, an intrepid young psychic who is now a fully fledged member of the Psychonauts, who are an elite group of international psychic secret agents. And the story sort of picks up from the original game where it left off, which is the original Psychonauts, which came out like way back in 2005, right? It's quite an old game. But you're actually part of it now because you're in VR, right? And you checked this one out, Zim. You've played this for yourself on PSVR.
I have actually. I think this is another one of those titles like the Invisible Hours, which for me, I played on PSVR. Going into it, I was like, not expecting much good. I also, looking at the art style, the original Psychonauts, I know a lot of people are going to burn me at the stake, but I was never enticed to play the original Psychonauts because of how it looked. It was just like too zany. I know coming from me, that might sound stupid, but like it just was too zany for me. I love things like the original Monkey Island series, all these things from LucasArts that Tim Schafer had done prior to his new team. But Psychonauts never really attracted me. But I played the Rhombus and the Rhombus of Ruin, and actually I found it to be like it's a decent like game. It's like 6 or 7 hours. There's a whole bunch of different scenes that are really well done in VR. It's a look and teleport to a place mechanic, and then look around your space, and then interact with stuff. And you have to think about the kind of psychic powers and all that type of thing. But for me, it got a buy rating out of me because it's really unique. And the sound design, the graphics, the voiceovers, the characterization, all strengths. And it actually got me to the point where I was like, I ended up liking Raz. Like he's a cool dude, and all the characters around are pretty neat. And they do some things in the game that I wasn't expecting them to do. So it's one of those titles that I would say if you got a PSVR, you'll probably have bypassed it. Go check it out. That's what I'd say.
Yeah, or check it out on Rift and Vive now because it's out.
Yeah,
now.
I'm still glad it's come to the PC platform.
Yeah,
because it's gotten. I know they've had underwhelming sales on it, and it's not fair. It's one of those things that it's kind of being missed by an audience.
And you got to hang out with Tim Schafer, right, at EGX Res last weekend?
We heard about him, and I think one of the things that I would say about it, I was really interested. So at the end of he gave a kind of a speech about his career and stuff like that. Very funny guy, naturally. He basically said that, VR is now a channel. It's like an established channel, but it's not like the be all end all. It's not going to like eat everything else. But he found it's kind of like, if you're going to make a game for Nintendo DS, if you're going to make a VR game, it's like another one of these kind of tick boxes. You can say, I'm going to go publish content there. And it's a choice if you're a game developer. So I agree with that. And him and his producer, who I got to meet, who had this awesome, like stitched jacket, showing the Double Fine logo in all colors and all that. He's 6'7". I don't think I've ever, been at a pub with the dude who was 6'7" at all. And then I get introduced to this guy. He's like, yeah, I'm a producer for Double Fine and all that. And then it was a funny story because someone was tapping someone on the shoulder and was like, oh, hey, it was a buddy of mine. And it actually was Tim Schafer who was there. So it was a bit of a laugh for a couple of minutes, him and his producer.
Awesome.
Nice. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. So if you're interested in picking up Double Fine's Psychonauts in the Rhombus of Ruin, you can check it out on Oculus Home or on Steam. It's about sort of £15 and $20 US.
It's worth that.
But they're offering on both stores right now a 20% launch discount. So if you're interested in picking it up, now's a good time to pick it up.
By the way, talking about tall persons, I once met a hobbit in Amsterdam, and it was fun hanging out with... Oh, wait, it was Mike.
We're about the same height, dude. We're about the same height. I'm pretty sure we're the same height. Yeah.
I'm not so sure about that.
I can get a picture and confirm this after the show.
Please confirm this.
Mike, are you sitting on a booster seat right now?
He's very
booster seat.
Very good. I'm tiny but mighty. That's my saying.
Yeah.
So let's move on to our main topics. First up, Alien Descent. As if the mod to play Alien Isolation wasn't terrifying enough. At least, though, with the mod, you could just play it in the confines of your own house. Only the people that you live will hear your girly screams. And, you can just change your underwear or just throw them away and just jump in the shower and clean yourself off afterwards. And it was all fine. Now you want to do it.
We got to stop there, Mike, for a second. We got to stop there. I got to ask you a question, which is, has that ever happened to you in a VR game? Have you ever had that issue?
I've never soiled myself. Put it that way.
Good.
Ever.
That's good.
It feels like this is a question that leads to another experience.
Yes.
No, we're not going there.
I did have an issue where I did have to check because I was like, I think I just shat myself. So I casually walked off stream. And I checked. I was good. But I actually thought it had happened.
So what was the game?
I can't remember. It was something scary.
Are you kidding me? You can't remember?
I know. You should bring that topic up without having
Pirate Trainer.
It was not Space Pirate Trainer.
Wait, was it
not know the title?
Was it Halo Recruit or Jumanji?
That would make sense then.
It was a dirty protest. It's genius.
So I'm the only one then, hey? Never happened to you, maybe?
Seems that way.
I'm a scaredy.
So don't worry. If we ever get invited to go to California to check it out, I'll make sure I bring the adult diapers with me.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
But so this Alien Descent experience is similar to The Void, right? It's not actually part of The Void. It's a standalone thing. But it's a 4-player experience that pits you against the most terrifying creature from the movies, and that is, of course, the xenomorph from Aliens. And these creatures are just so terrifying just by their design. Like, was it J.R. Geiger created these monstrosities years and years ago? These hulking beasts that are predators, and they've got acid for blood. So they're most terrifying in their design. But with this experience, you team up with up to 4 players, and then you as a group go in and then meet up with a sort of an elite team of colonial marines. And the whole sort of premise is that you investigate a distress signal from a Wayland Utini mining outpost. So you and your squad have to go in, investigate, contain the threat, which is obviously these aliens, quarantine any survivors, and then get off-world safely. So it sounds completely badass. We don't obviously have any footage because they don't have a trailer or anything like that. So we're actually showing footage from Alien Covenant, which is the latest movie, to give you kind of an idea of what we're talking about. Covenant, sorry.
I have the feeling it's like based on what you're telling here. I have the feeling it's a wave-based shooter kind of game, but with a storyline where you go from one place to another. Or is that not what a?
I don't think so. So, like having experienced the Void, like even though it's in a small confined space, it's amazing the sense of freedom they can give you in such a small area because it had physical rooms and physical doors that you have to go through, and it can really convey that you're actually moving.
That is a strong point, that you can actually use the environment to make you feel more immersed. Like if there's a wall there will be a wall there in virtual reality. And I think that is something that is even more immersive in that way. So I think it would be a little bit weird if they would then just show like a wave shooter, because then they're not really using that environment. You have to crawl to like those like hallways and that kind of stuff and feel that kind of, to make that kind of immersive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like according to PD, it's only a 15-minute experience, so you don't even have time to really go into a shooting fest.
Well, so like the Void is only like a 15-20 minute experience as well, but it's well worth it, like I would say, because like you do get completely drawn into the world because you're dressed, with all this gear on, you've got a gun, you're looking at other players, they're actually represented as stormtroopers, and you're going through doors and you're in a spaceship and the floor's shaking and you feel heat, and there's just, it is a standout experience. Like 15 minutes doesn't sound like a long time, but when you're in something like this, especially as terrifying as this, like being an alien, I think 15 minutes is going to be enough because people are going to be
screaming out, "Get us out!" Like now.
Yeah, exactly.
Like us teaming up would be freaking interesting, though.
Oh, it would be so good.
I would be so pumped. I would be so pumped to do this as the four of us check this out.
It will be something like, okay, now it's your turn to open the next door. It's like everyone's like, Zimmy's like, Zim, can you now? Because it's your turn now. That's usually what happens when something is scary, right?
This kind of experience, and that's the same. Like I want an experience like this where it's all you can eat buffet. You pay £100. You go in, and if you can last 8 hours in a kind of a tension, what I'm looking for. No, I'm serious, because it, like VR Bug mentioned in chat, right? Vive base stations 2.0 tracking is like 98 square feet or something. Yeah, whatever, or 98 square meters or something like that. It's huge. I want to go into a space and forget that I'm there. I've only had this ever happen to me once, and it was with a Vive, and it was in a space at EGX in the UK. And it was with it was something diplomacy. Nathie might remember the game. Diplomacy. You like unseen diplomacy?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And you had to unscrew gates and crawl through spaces and walk on ledges. And that was an experience that it was so weird coming out of, because it was like I totally forgot that I wasn't in the game. And I had no worry about hitting anything because I was in a very large kind of green screen area. And it was
Right.
Like I want that for hours with a team, and forget it.
I don't want to be stuck on a planet full of aliens for hours. Though, no freaking way.
Because I do like the idea of having maybe some kind of escape room idea of that.
Yeah.
Of hours where you really need to team up together and have an intense actual fight going on or something.
So the best thing that the Void did, you didn't start off with a gun. So you were a stormtrooper and you were on a spaceship landing on a planet, and you had to get the plans to the Death Star because you were undercover rebels. And then when it all went crazy and you were discovered by the stormtroopers, then there were guns on the wall that you could just go up to and pick up, and then you just naturally get involved in the fight. So if they do something similar in this, that would be really cool. So when the aliens start arriving, you're unarmed, but then you can just grab a gun off the wall and start getting involved in the fight with the Marines. That's going to just be so cool.
Who made this, by the way? Because I know that the Void experience, at least the Star Wars one, has been made by Industrial Light and Magic, a part of it.
Right.
So their seal of approval is already on there. And with this, some random dev who bought a license to publish this, or is it actually?
It's a proper legit studio. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but they partnered up with Foxnet. So they've obviously partnered up with Foxnet to bring this. But from the studio name, I can't remember it off the top of my head, but it was a legit one. And what they've done is they've gone a step further in terms of the Void, in that this experience features some new technology that you don't have to have wires and you don't even have to wear a backpack. Somehow they've worked out some magic that you don't have to wear a backpack PC, because that's essentially how the Void works, right? You wear a suit which has like a haptic vest, which is great because you feel the shots and stuff, but it also has a PC which is fairly heavy in your back.
But isn't that just
Whereas
the TP cast? No, isn't that just the TP cast in terms of, because it's wireless transmission of the image to the. I
Who knows?
own one, but
They could be using something like that, but obviously, a bit like the Void, they're not telling you what headsets they're using or what type of technology they're using. But yeah, so it's just a case of wearing the headset and a battery pack. I would imagine that's how they're going to do it. So it's fairly lightweight. But the only problem is with this whole thing, which I am super excited about, by the way, is that it's only available right now in one single place, and that is a place called the Outlets Orange in California, which is near Disneyland in California.
Yeah, I have the feeling they are going to bring this more to like theme parks where you have those in October usually, around Halloween they have those themed escape rooms or like haunted houses, like Stranger Things or like all kinds of themes from famous movies. So I think they are going to maybe test this out first and then also bring it to theme parks, because for them it's like pretty cheap to do this. Because you don't really need to build anything around it. Like the rooms in the end are empty. You don't see anything because it's all happening in VR.
It actually remembers me a little bit of something that I did a lot as a kid. You had those like capsules that represented like rocket ships, and you can go in there and they would just have like a 2D screen on there, but you have like those 3D glasses, so you could experience 3D, and then you would crash on an alien planet, and that alien planet was filled with dinosaurs. That's how it went. And like every amusement park that I went to, it had something remotely similar like this. We always crashed on an alien planet with dinosaurs on there. So you would go in there, and then you would like feel the crash, and the machine would start shaking, this and that. You would crash down, fly through the woods, and you would see all these dinosaurs, and at the end, like you see like this big Tyrannosaurus, you would get eaten. That was the.
We know you love dinosaurs so much.
That's the genesis point. We've been searching for this for years. We know what Rowdy's affinity for dinosaurs it comes from now.
It would be kind of creepy if you're walking around in that VR space then, and people are like touching you as well, like in haunted houses where they kind of tickle you a bit. So someone is walking around there in like a xenomorph suit and smelling your butt. And you're like,
oh my god!
And then there's nothing there. And, they can follow you around in real life mixed with VR.
Yeah. Because that was the funny thing. Like when I went and did the Void and there was a stormtrooper next to me, like my buddy, like we could high five and we were actually high fiving. So he was a virtual avatar, but I was high fiving a real person. It was so cool. It was so cool. But like the Void is like a real pop-up thing. Like it was just in the middle of a mall and it looked fairly small in terms of like footprint of the actual square that they were using. So this is the kind of cool thing that they can use these pop-ups in malls or in places nearby, as long as like people are paying for it and they're using it and they're enjoying it. I could see this becoming a bigger thing. Like you say, Rowdy, like popping up at like theme parks and stuff like that as well.
Elementary schools.
Yeah, they play chuck some kids in the alien one. Yeah, like enjoy kids. Enjoy never sleeping again.
If you talk about getting touched in VR, like Alien Isolation.
It is a good idea if you, for example, have some kids that have been a little bit naughty, like just like chop them in there and 15 minutes will come and get you.
Yeah.
Waterboarding children? Is that what we're saying?
We live in Europe.
Yeah, you're going to be terrified.
This is genius.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. That's Euro for you.
No, but getting touched in VR can be fucking scary. Like, I didn't realize what was going on, and I was playing Alien Isolation with my DK2 some years ago, and I saw it on the replay later, but my cat had been sitting on my desk for about 15 minutes. I didn't know. And she used to like to kind of like rub against my nose. And she did that to the Rift when an alien was like right around the corner. My God. And it's like to have something in the room that's completely silent. Like I knew my wife wasn't around. I thought I was totally safe. Like
how did you explain those bruises to the hospital?
So there we have it. Alien Descent looks awesome. Hopefully, we could check it out. I'd love to check it out with you four guys.
Yeah.
That'd be
we should live stream that. Like no one sees us. No one sees what we see, but they still see us walk around with those weird things on our head. I was like, Mike, no, please. Like totally scared.
That was so cool.
Would be also funny if they suddenly someone grabs Mike and then he's gone. Like, hey Mike, Mike, where did Mike go? You know, that would be epic.
Like,
I know it's kind of scary if someone grabs you out of nowhere, but if someone disappears,
Oh my
like Mike is
God.
standing on like a trap or something, and then he goes down, and it's like, what the hell?
Wow.
Like that would be
I love
next
it.
level, right?
Great idea.
That would be like next level.
So there we have it, Alien Descent. If you're in California and you go and check it out, please let us know what it's like.
Yeah.
I'd love to know your thoughts.
Go for it.
So next up, we're going to be talking about the Vive Pro. We're going to be talking about the cameras at the front because the Vive Pro obviously came out like a few weeks ago now, but a feature of the device that they've made, like sort of a bit of a mystery is the front-facing cameras. Like no one actually knew what they were used for or what they were designed to do. But HTC released its software development kit for the front-facing cameras this week, and some devs have been showing off what they can actually do. So HTC says the SDK is named SR Works and includes 3 modules, a depth module, a see-through module, and a 3D reconstruction module. So it looks like from what they've shown is that the Vive Pro can also be used as an augmented reality device now. Some would say that maybe you should be calling a device like this a mixed reality device.
Oh my, are we going there again?
Microsoft have already claimed that name, so we can't call the device like that mixed reality, even though it is true mixed reality because it does AR and VR together, which
That's true.
Microsoft doesn't do, by the way.
That's kind of funny. This is like the actual like Windows mixed reality stuff.
Yeah. But don't get me triggered on that because I'll start talking about that for ages.
Is this real augmented reality or is it virtual augmented reality?
No.
I'm sorry, Mike. I was just I don't answer that question. That's just...
So with these tools, creators can now use depth and spatial mapping to do things like placing virtual objects in your real life environment, live interactions with virtual objects as well. So with hand interactions, if you see the video that we might be showing now, I'm not quite sure, but there's one with a fish, and the person that's actually wearing the headset isn't using a controller to interact with the fish. They're just using their actual hand. So it was tracking their actual hand and their interaction with this augmented reality fish that was overlaid in the real life environment. So that's actually pretty smart technology. So you're not even using controllers. You can actually use your physical hand to interact with something in the display.
Hey, Mike, could you give us a texture map of your face? I just have a project that I want to.
You just want to hit my face in augmented reality? That's a paid experience. It's coming to Vive soon.
I'll pay.
No, but I really see this like if they could build like a HUD or something in there would be nice. But like for the gaming space, it could be fun if let's say you just saw like Project Ghost. I think that's how it's called. Like there's a portal opening and then you are in the world itself. So let's say if you start up a game and it uses that, or later down the road when you play with like a full VR and then suddenly you go back to that real life perspective again. If you mix that up and then it could be a cool like mix between those two, right?
Exactly. And I was thinking in my mind like some ideas of how to mix that sort of virtual reality and augmented reality in a game. And I was thinking like, can you imagine like Portal, right? So say the Portal game that we all want and need, right? So the start of the game starts off in an AR view. So you're just in your own home environment and you get a present. You open the present and it's the portal gun. You take the portal gun out and the first thing you do is you shoot a portal, you go through it, and that's it. You don't see your own environment ever again, but you start off in your own home environment and then you're transported to this virtual world. Yeah. And I thought that was like a really cool idea. Or that like an Iron Man game where you're flying around as Iron Man, but when you come back and land in your HQ, the visor, like the headset sort of pops up, and then you're in AR and you've got like a briefing from Pepper as to what you need to do next. So you put the visor back down and then you fly off again and you're Iron Man again.
You can do,
So there's some really clever ways. Yeah, you could do some really, really cool stuff, I think.
This so leaves me though with mixed feelings. So this was the first week that I got a chance to play with the Vive Pro. So it was the last of our pack to try it. And I did. And I would say that the resolution is a bump of 15 to 20% over the Rift. I think that the fit and feel is weird. I'll explain that in a second. But this AR thing is a big sweetener. Like, I mean, the thing is, I remember like when you were back in the DK1 and DK2 days, you'd get all these demos because that's like part of the thing. Like you spent the money on the headset, and then you got all these free demos to try because people were just testing stuff. And I expect a secondary AR related wave with the Vive Pro. So maybe the premium that you pay for with the Vive Pro will open up the door to, and I'm wondering where this content will be. Is there a content house out there where you can go and get
But from
AR
a developer perspective, like, I mean, the VR market is already small. Like, how many people in there will have a VR AR headset now? So to be putting money and resources in developing something that at this moment, I think it's cool. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know if there's going to be so much content that's going to be made for this.
Yeah, and also, like, again, like the Vive Pro got sold as a industry headset. So how many consumers really have this headset and want to use this feature? But that's right. I think Rowdy is right. But I just wonder. I think they just wanted to test this and see what it does, and maybe in arcades it can be fun. I don't know.
I think it's.
But even just a switch, right? That you could just switch from normal view to VR would be useful, right, for you guys, like as content creators, without having to stick the headset on.
You could do that before, but first it was always like on your wrist, so you could just look at your real view on the casual Vive, the vanilla Vive, and now you can see it in its like if you want to, let's say, drink something and it's on your desk, you could just go there and see it. So I mean, like, it's a feature that was there before, but now in its like full glory, basically.
The room mapping is pretty sweet, though. I mean, if you watch the way it does, like, scan room mapping and just pick up your entire room just from looking around, I find that's a really powerful selling point. And to be honest, I was totally not sold yet on AR until we hit Rezzed, and there was a game there called Smash Tanks, and I can't remember, Mike, you and I got to play, but I played it for hours with my kids and stuff, because, like, you just take a desk or whatever, and it was a £2 game. I couldn't believe the selling price. And it builds a little city that's like randomly generated, and you got 3 tanks each, and it's kind of like Worms, and you attack each other. I should have mentioned that when we were talking about games played, because I had since called it. If you call Pokemon Go AR, you're kind of cheating, because it's not really doing anything with the environment. This does. And it's the first AR experience that I had that was really compelling, which is why now I've kind of got this like taster of I'm really keen on. And let me just qualify what I said by content. I don't mean like AAA content. I don't mean Oculus Studios pushing content. Well, obviously on the Vive Pro, they wouldn't be pushing content. But I'm not talking about big studios. I'm talking just indie devs trying things. Because I love indie and I love little indie projects, even if they're like a half-hour little thing just to play around with, to tinker with, or whatever. Some ideas there are just so fundamentally awesome. And there's like a whole warehouse of that stuff, like DK2 Days, that I still have that I can't touch anymore because the wave came and went technology-wise. Like the software stack is no longer supported, yada, yada. Same thing's going to happen here. I really think that there's going to be something AR-wise that'll be buzzing and pretty neat. And I'm asking myself now, like, can I afford to miss this? So.
Also, I'm not sure if these were just rumors, but when I was like doing some research on the cameras when the Vive Pro got announced, I heard about like depth information, so the cameras can see things happening in your room. So let's say if your cat walks by or there's something in your play space that shouldn't be there, it could warn you for the fact it's there, and that you can get rid of it if you want to. So that could also be useful. So there are so many. Just throw it out of the windows. But that could be useful. I think there are many things that can be useful for this camera anyway.
But you're right in that it can map the environment around you, and that's actually included for free as part of the SDK. So that's just works straight out of the box, mapping your environments. But like you say, it can mean that you can place virtual objects in your physical environment. So say like a bit like what Magic Leap was showing off. You could have a screen, for example, on your wall that wasn't actually there, but is fixed in that space when you have the headset on using the AR view. So that's kind of interesting.
It is interesting, but we need more Vive users then, like pro users, before this is actually going to be something mainstream.
But again, like this is just a dev feature that they're throwing out to devs right now.
Or Valve is nice enough to build this into like the room skill setup where you can maybe use it in a way, or I don't know. You can finally shoot those missiles in real life. If you want.
Not again. But I'm actually a bit like Zim. Like I'm actually quite excited about this, and it's made me think again. Like, do I want to pick one up? Like the thing is, it's the FOMO thing, like the fear of missing out. Right? Am I going to miss out on something epic by not having one?
I don't know.
That's the thing.
I mean, you just experienced it with the PlayStation VR, so you know how it feels.
But just to comment
I was
about
missing
the Pro
out.
for a second,
my soul,
because like people say it's so balanced and it's lightweight. I will give it that. It feels lighter weight, even though maybe it's not.
No, it's not.
Because it's not technically, right? It's actually
it's bulky. It's really bulky. I think it's bigger than the actual vanilla Vive. It's huge. It's huge.
But the thing I was going to say is it's the biggest headset at the moment. It's kind of ridiculous, to be honest. But it's front and back loaded. Like, yes, it's balanced, but it kind of feels like it is front and back loaded. And so this relays in like wobble. That's a lot of people talk about the wobble effect and it being a problem in active games. But like when I put it on and I tried it, I was like, I could do with this resolution, but I'm glad I canceled. And then of course the news dropped about the cameras, and now it's pulling me back the other way. And that's why I think it's a kind of an interesting selling point. So
I think that without the cameras, because they were first disabled or no one knew how to use them because there was no software available, it was kind of like a 50-50 where you could say like, yeah, but a higher resolution is nice, but it's not enough. And now with this feature coming along, it gets more interesting, and now people are like, oh, so this is also something, because no one really promoted it in any way. I mean, it was on the Vive website. I think that those cameras were doing something,
right?
And now it's getting more promoted. Now you see what it can do, and you see the gameplay, and now people are like, okay, maybe this is the moment to. But still, I think there needs
to be a use case.
This is early adopter stuff again. That's how it feels like. As you said, first we need to have some demos, and then the next headsets will all have like standard cameras in the front. I mean, then the new Rift is going to have that, I'm sure. And the Windows mixed reality headsets, we thought they were going to have it. But I think that, like the next generation of those Windows headsets are also going to have it. And who knows, maybe the Vive Focus can even do the same as they show with the Vive Pro.
The problem with the Windows mixed reality cameras is that they can't be used for that function because they're used for tracking the controllers.
It's
so they can't do both.
Still confusing. Why did they call it? Now we finally have the first one that does it.
Yeah,
and then they have a pro name and not. It's so unfair. It's so confusing. My brain is still farting over this convo where we talk about Windows mixed reality and what is mixed reality.
It's funny because I did a mixed reality guide, obviously how to record in mixed reality, and I had comments on there saying, "But does this work with mixed reality?" I was like, "Don't even go.
What mixed reality are you talking about?" I think
don't even
as
don't
far
even get
as
me
I
triggered.
know, Windows mixed reality basically means mixed reality platform. So their platform is called mixed reality platform. It's like Oculus Home. Then you would say like the Oculus Rift can do Oculus Home, but they went for a name that totally fits into a sentence where you're like, oh, so I can just see the real world then. It's just the platform where you can download the games, where you can play the games on the Windows headsets is called mixed reality. That's it.
It's like
it confused everyone.
Yeah. It's like,
nice one, Microsoft.
Right. Well done.
But
we love your Halo game.
So moving on to something that I'm pretty sure is definitely going to be better than Halo Recruit, and that is Defector. So Oculus have recently announced a new Oculus exclusive title coming to the Rift. It's called Defector. This title is funded and published by Oculus Studios, but is made by the same team that brought you Wilson's Heart, and that is Twisted Pixel. I really like that they've gone down a whole new direction with this latest game. Like it's so different from Wilson's Heart in the terms of its art style and the way it looks. But the story narrative is still there.
You can still see it's from the same developers, basically. You can see a certain like style and a sort of like stuff that they do as well, the hand interactions and all of that, the facial expressions. It's pretty neat how they maintain that style on this title.
Yeah, but like the Wilson's Heart like had the story which compelled you to finish the game, right? And I'm hoping that's going to be the same with this. Like even though it's got these like great epic sort of set pieces and the action and everything else, I really hope it's the story that drives the gameplay rather than the other way around. Because in this game, you take the role of an undercover spy. From some of the scenes in the trailer, it just looks like something straight out of like a Bond movie or a Jason Bourne movie. You've got all these like big action set pieces. You're driving a plane, a car out the back of a plane, and then you're scaling on the side of a plane as it's burning on fire. And
so to me, Mike, this is I expect you to die, but you can get up and do shit. Like, I mean, and this development studio, we said it before, right? We said about Wilson's Heart, like they have the quality, they just didn't have the pacing. What did this do? This is like their stuff fast forwarded. So I'm actually
the only
very
thing I
excited
kind of
about this.
like was a bit iffy about is that you can see so much of the HUD during gameplay.
HUDs. Yeah, I knew. I was about to say
Like
the same thing.
I watched the trailer now again, and it's the
So
first thing that like bugs me. Like it's like there's the HUD. Are we high fiving again?
Yeah.
Or what?
Yeah. Wait, this the other way. Other way. Yeah.
So the thing about the HUD, right, is it's actually explained in gameplay, is that you start off as an agent and you're in the bathroom and you're looking at a mirror and they give you like this contact lens and you put the contact lens in your eye and that explains
really good that they do that. I really like it that they do that. But still, I mean, it's not in every gameplay scene, so I still have the impression you can sometimes like take it out or something, or that you don't have that. But it feels very intrusive to have it like it would be maybe better to be on just on the bottom or like on like the top, but like over the vertical.
Yeah,
It won't feel as bad in VR. I guarantee you.
Just give me a watch. Give yourself a watch or something. Don't put it in your face.
But
it's not.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not. I'm super anti HUD when it comes to game design. But when you choose to put it in this way, actually isn't so bad. I'll compare it to in Redout. You have a very similar thing where if you're looking at it in 2D, you'd say the exact comment that you said, Rowdy. Invasive. Like that's what strikes you when you watch this in flat. But when you actually are in the game, your brain kind of ignores it, and it's there when you need it. Especially if it's that kind of translucent or transparent, you know. So we'll see. I'm gonna give them the
definitely
benefit of the doubt.
deserve that as well.
But from the trailer, like I really like the mix of mechanics that they've used because there's like so many different mechanics they've shown. Like this branching storyline where apparently you can really make choices in terms of which way the mission goes. You know, you've got these options that don't change, so it will affect the outcome of the mission, but maybe affect the overall. It's very funny to see that
since this is an Oculus Studios title. Is that they said, I mean, we all remember in the beginning that like Oculus was aimed to be like a seated experience, and yet this experience like I Expect You to Die and Wilson's Heart, which was very careful locomotion. If you look at this trailer, they're throwing you out a plane, you're driving in a car, you're like shooting people when you're running through the plane. It's like completely opposite. Like it's.
Nah, but I don't think they're showing off the full picture here. I'm afraid there is something like I do think they are using free locomotion. That's for sure. You can see that in the trailer. Of course, we had Payday where they were faking that, so it could still be like getting faked, but I don't think so. But what I do like the problem that what I think is going to be the problem here is the transitions between one scene to another. So it looks like a smooth thing where you're like ramming into a plane with a car, but how is this going to like? I still feel like they're not going like completely well with the locomotion or anything like that. I still feel like they like.
But there is a demo, right? I mean, since people have been playing it, why haven't we been able to do that yet?
Well, it's funny you should say that because press have actually had access to play this game, and
but we are press. I mean, we are press. So I mean,
well, not according to Oculus, we're not because I did actually reach out to them and try and play it.
They said we'll have to talk.
Yeah,
shame on you.
Yeah.
Nearer to release. Yeah, same thing here.
We are very sad. We're crying.
But you're right, though. You were good to spot that, Nathie, that it's free locomotion because The Verge actually wrote an article about this because they did have access to it, and they said that it is free locomotion, and they were actually concerned about like motion sickness. Whereas I was like, yes, finally we've got a game that's got free locomotion. This is what the community wants. This is what the community has been asking for. They're finally delivering on what the community wants.
It could be that they are delivering this to the more like experienced VR players out there that now have the Rift CV1 and the Touch for a while, and that they are really focusing for that group, and that they are still creating other things out because they have those levels of like immersive or intense and things like that. So I hope they are not going to, because I think meeting two groups is going to be problematic where you have beginners and veterans. It doesn't seem to match that well. Or you have to have like locomotion options. But like transition wise, going from one scene to another, that can be very intense. And if they want to go for like a balanced and like friendly way, then it's going to be a little boring where you're suddenly in a loading menu again. So you had like an epic scene for 10 minutes or 5 minutes, and then you're in a loading menu again.
That's
so
exactly
I'm afraid that part is what I'm afraid of. That's exactly what I see here. It's not like you jumping into a car, then flying away with it. and then suddenly you land into a house and you can just jump out of the car again. And so
yeah, I get your point. So you're concerned that in between these like big sections, you're going to have like loading or something like a loading screen. But like I think it's great that they have implemented free locomotion and they built it from the ground up with free locomotion in mind. And then with the settings, they've got settings enabled to make it more comfortable for newcomers. So they do that vignetting, or you can slow down the motion, the free locomotion. So I think they're going to cater for both. But like you say, it'll be interesting to see how it turns out. But I personally really like the mix of mechanics that they've shown, because like I say, they've shown the branching storyline, so you can change the mechanics of the storyline depending on which options you choose, whether you want to go in stealthy or go in guns blazing. You've got shooting options, you've got hand-to-hand combat, and then you've got these sections where you're driving out the back of a plane and then scaling on the side of a plane. So it is a real mix of mechanics. And I think, like although Planet of the Apes wasn't a particularly great game, what they did do really well was mixing that, I'm walking now and now I'm just walked straight up to a wall and now I'm climbing. Like that transition of the two mechanics worked really, really well. So if they can pull that off.
Yeah, as long as they don't do the ghost thing where they already spoiler everything for you, where it's like, oh, this is what I need to do next, then I'm fine. Because that's what Wilson's hired at, where you could see what your character was going to do next,
Yeah, well, I don't think that's going to happen in this with free locomotion. Like Wilson's art was like a teleport locomotion, right?
Yeah, only you see like the fighting part where they tell you where to fight people, but that looks very neat. Like
that Sherlock Holmes kind of like, I don't know if ever seen that scene from the movie where he's like analyzing everything, like, oh, I'm going to hit him there, this and that. That's what it reminded me of. Like, oh, I need to hit him there, and then he's going to spoil it, going to try and hit me here. And then that looked really neat,
Yeah.
What I also, last but not least, what I want to say is, like, when I look at the trailer, I only see like the left part of the gameplay. It would be nice if they just show the full gameplay, So I think the field of view, like in its full glory, basically, because I see like the left side, but if you see the fast movement in this trailer, you can see another bar on the right side as well. Like, so I just see the left part of the gameplay here.
Yeah.
I don't know what
left eye capture. Yeah. The thing, Mike, that got me was when you said branching storylines. What I've read online about this is you have the ability in certain parts to actually skip, kind of like original Mario game style. You can skip 2 hours of the game by choices that you make, not just like, oh, here's a pop-up, go left, go right. But if you decide to walk down an elevator shaft, you can actually skip meeting a dude and just bypass 2 hours of the game. Like that is awesome. Wait, want that in,
did it actually say skip 2 hours of the game?
Yep. Yeah. You can literally bypass segments of the game. I think it's only like 6 hours.
So it's going to be it's going to be like Wilson's Heart, like 6 to 8 hours.
Yeah, or they could also, I'm not sure if they use that trick like in smaller parts of the game. Like A Way Out is doing that too, where you sometimes feel like you did something different, but if you then replay it again, it always ends up at the same part.
The outcome is the same. Yeah. No, they did say that the overall story won't change. Like that won't change, but the individual missions, the way they play, and the outcome of those missions will change based on your decisions. So like this is a great example, like this one that we shown in the trailer. Like you can choose to jump out of the plane, once you've got your information or whatever, with a parachute, or you can decide to go through the rest of the plane, fight the rest of the bad guys, and then drive out the back of the plane in a car. Yeah. Like that's a choice you can make, So I like the fact that there's options there, and then that adds replayability, because you think, well, maybe if I didn't make that decision, like how would that have played out the other way? I think it's smart.
If you would jump out of the plane or kill all the bad guys and then jump out of a plane with a car, I would definitely want to do both of them. Yeah,
exactly.
But I really like the animations here, how everything moves and how people give you a gun. I don't really see anyone reloading a gun. It would be nice if that's also a part again where you really have to do things yourself and really
physically do it.
Instead of just going to your hip and then start spamming your gun again. Because like the shooting kind of looks arcadey to me. If you see the person going into those rooms, it's kind of like what Planet of the Apes did, where they just pop up and you need to go to the next room again. I don't think they're gonna fill that up with like the last hour. Oh, we're kind of the budget is. I mean, the budget is fine in this one, so I don't think that's the problem. But with Planet of the Apes, you had that moment where last 20 minutes, like, just so sorry, but I'm so bored now of just shooting people in different rooms, going to the next.
Nathy, you made a really good point, and I think for this kind of game, it's super important. It's kind of like what Sariento does so well. If you can build flow into an action game, uninterrupted flow for decent segments, then you've got a badass game. I mean, this game to me, when I see the trailer,
That's true.
I'm reading. Okay, so first off, the HUD looks like GoldenEye back in the day. So already you've got me with a great vibe. The second thing, which I never played, but it was all over the internet at the time, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was called one of the Call of Duties, like second, it's not Modern Warfare, but it was all these set pieces. And it was like their single player campaign.
World at War?
It wasn't that recent. It wasn't Black Ops. It was earlier than that.
Press X to pay your respects.
Like the World War II
it was like the first or second one after the World War II saga. But there were these impossible sequences like on an airplane where you were trying to like shoot 20 different dudes and get to the pilot and all that kind of stuff. But
that's Modern
Warfare. Okay.
Yeah. That was the Mile High.
Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking about. But both of those are like they built that into this game either intentionally or unintentionally. But I think it really sells, So I hope it feels that way.
Yeah, like I liked what they did with Wilson's Heart. I think the game had its flaws, but I certainly enjoyed it, and it kept me engaged throughout the whole game, and I really wanted to see what happened at the end. So, I've got some faith in what Twist and Pixel have got planned here. So I'm excited to see the game when it finally comes out. Maybe it could be the summer blockbuster that we're all waiting for.
Well, if they want to, they can send us a key, and then we can check it out on our channels. I mean,
or the demo that they've been showing around
for sure. I'd love to check that out. But we don't know a release date yet, so we don't know how far away in the future this game is. So maybe it's still quite early days. We don't really know. But there we have it. That is Defector, something to look forward to in the future, coming up soon. So I'm going to wrap this one up this week. We've been going on for an hour and 25 minutes. We've had a good time on the show. We've had some laughs. We've had some emotions. We've had some mishaps in our underwear, according to Zim.
Yeah.
So we've had a good one all around. So just to remind you, it is a weekly VR, AR, and MR talk show, live streamed every Saturday on Nathie's YouTube channel. Tune into the show live at 4 p.m. in Europe, 3 p.m. in the UK, and 9 a.m. in Central US. If you missed the live stream, you can catch up with the whole show, which I re-upload on my own YouTube channel, Virtual Reality Oasis, or check out the audio-only version, which you can listen to on your commute or your daily business, which is available on Google Play Music, iTunes, and on SoundCloud. If you did enjoy the show, please leave us a comment or some feedback on iTunes or SoundCloud, because that would really help us out as well. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the show. We've certainly had a good time. And we will see you on next week's episode. So until then, bye-bye.
Bye.